Not only has Iran potentially enriched uranium to nearly 90%, which is ballistic weapons grade material, by the way, but they've now built a terrorist base in Lebanon, complete with an airfield, with Iranian flags flying, and to top it off, it's only 12 miles from Israel's border. Make no mistake, Israel will not tolerate the threat of Iran on their border or the threat of a ballistic missile. In today's show, we'll break it all down for you. I'm Luke, and this is the Israel Guys. Hello and welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of anti-Israel propaganda and Jew hatred, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. I want to play this video as we remember September 11, 2001, which was just yesterday. Today, September 12th. Watch this video.
That we're going to show you from the West Bank. These are Palestinian celebrations in the wake of Tuesday's terror attacks in the United States. Apparently, Palestinians took to the street chanting, "God is great." People were throwing candy, distributing candy to passersby. The U.S. government obviously has become increasingly unpopular, particularly in the West Bank and Gaza Strip, because Palestinians feel that the U.S. government has sided with Israel. One man, Nawal Abdel Fattah, wearing a long black dress, threw sweets in the air, saying, actually, that's a woman, pardon me, saying she was happy because, quote, America is the head of the snake. America always stands by Israel in its war against us. Meanwhile, Yasser Arafat emerged to...
As I was thinking about the anniversary of 9/11, I just came across this video and I wanted to make sure that the world realizes that, number one, America is the head of the snake, as they talked about in the video. Israel is the little Satan. America is the big Satan, as Iran so boldly and publicly declares time and again. But I also want you to remember something else. The Palestinians that the world wants Israel to negotiate with and give away their heartland to, their biblical heartland, Judea and Samaria, they're the same Palestinians who danced, cheered, and handed out sweets in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attack in America. Thousands of Americans killed at the hand of Islamic terrorism, and who celebrated and danced in the streets? Those Palestinians inside what they called in the news video, the West Bank, where I'm sitting right now, and that the world is so confidently and boldly pressuring Israel to give away and make a Palestinian state. Make no mistake, this would be a terrorist country. Guys, we're going to get into an Iranian base built inside Lebanon, just a few miles from Israel's border. But first, if you're not subscribed here on YouTube or Rumble or wherever you're watching or listening, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content coming to you every single day. And let me know down in the comments if you're a new viewer or a new listener. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's all at The Israel Guys. And if you want to join the Breaking News WhatsApp group, the link is down in the description below. I do want to mention we have two more volunteer programs, part of Hayuvel. The Israel Guys is part of Hayuvel, a faith-based volunteer organization in Judea and Samaria. We have two more trips this year that are still open for registration, but they're both filling up very, very fast. One is the tree planting trip, which starts end of October. I know times that's coming up fast, but we do have some more spots if you want to check that out. And the other is our Heartland Experience, which is more tour focused, but still focused on Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria, faith-based experience, as well as the Zionist experience. And I believe we only have a couple of spots left for that trip. The dates are end of November to early December. You can check the dates out, the details, the prices, everything, registration at serveisrael.com. We'll have the link down below so you can directly go there as well. So, Iran is building a terrorist base inside Lebanon, and it's only 12 miles from the border with Israel. I have to say, I was just up on the Lebanon border with my family for a vacation in an Israeli kibbutz. And when I say we were on the border, we were actually, the kibbutz butted right against, we could actually take a walk and toss a rock into Lebanon. We could actually climb up to a park and overlook Lebanon as well. Beautiful forest, by the way, but I'm kind of like picturing this Iranian base after I've been up there. So Israel's defense minister, Yoav Gallant, Yoav Gallant, he made this statement at the International Institute for Counterterrorism 22nd World Summit on Counterterrorism in Herzliya. He said, quote, "In the pictures, you can see the Iranian flag flying over the runways from which the Ayatollah regime plans to operate against the citizens of Israel." And we'll put the photos in so you can see that. Also, direct link down to all these sources below, as well as Twitter, where some of these photos come from. Defense Minister Gallant, Yoav Gallant, he went on to say, quote, "Put differently, the land is Lebanese, the control is Iranian, and the target is Israel." Meaning, make no mistake, even though this is Lebanon, which I wouldn't say they're not like directly an enemy of the state of Israel. They might not be, on the best of terms either, but they're not like a direct enemy of Israel right now. They are hosting Iran to build a base as close to the Israeli border as possible. And Yoav Gallant, their defense minister, is saying, make no mistake, this is Lebanon, the control is Iranian, and the target is Israel. He went on to say, quote, the IDF must, quote, remain aware and ready with our eyes on the binoculars and our fingers on the trigger. If it comes to a conflict, we will not hesitate to activate the lethal force of the IDF. Hezbollah and Lebanon will pay heavy and painful prices. So there you go. Lebanon already a border to be watched by Israel and the rest of the world, as tensions have heated up somewhat over the past several months. Even when I was there, there was in the headlines that Israel was preparing for a war with Lebanon and Hezbollah, which is just another proxy of Iran. We even saw Israeli tanks stationed there at the border. Speaking of Iran, I believe I talked about it on my show in the last month that Netanyahu and Israel's defense minister all are actually blaming Iran for the recent surge in Palestinian Islamic terrorism that Israel has dealt with this year. You guys know there's been an upsurge in terrorism in Israel proper, meaning Tel Aviv and other Israeli cities, Jerusalem, but also Judea and Samaria. There's been a lot of terrorist attacks. There's been multiple Israeli lives claimed. The article, which I'll link down below, mentioned that there were 3 Jewish lives claimed within the space of 72 hours in August. And Prime Minister Netanyahu is directly blaming Iran through their proxies. We know that Iran is operating in Lebanon. We know they're operating in Judea and Samaria, probably Gaza, and also operating in places like Syria and Iraq and other places in the world. Mossad director David Barnea recently revealed that the Mossad agency, which is Israel's spy agency, equivalent to the CIA or MI6, they have stopped 27 terrorist attacks just in 2023 that were planned by Iran to murder Israeli citizens in other countries. He said, quote, this is the head of the Mossad, "The plots being pursued by these terrorist teams were orchestrated, masterminded, and directed by Iran, and that these terrorist attacks were supposed to take place all over the world, including Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, and South America." Thankfully, one of the best spy agencies in the world. You guys can debate about who's the best. The Mossad was able to stop 27 of these attacks just in 2023. So we have Iran plotting terrorist attacks against Israeli citizens, Jews all over the world. Now we know that they're also building a terrorist base as close as they can get to the Israeli border. And they just might be enriching uranium to 90% enrichment, which is ballistic missiles weapons grade quality. I want to tell you about one of the best ways to support Israel right now. You should join the Heartland Challenge. Pick one item that you use on a regular basis and commit to only purchasing that item from Judea and Samaria. If you're wondering how in the world can you purchase products from Judea and Samaria, our friends at Blessed by Israel make it super easy for you. They source incredible boutique products from small businesses located in Judea and Samaria, and they ship those products straight to your doorstep. We've partnered with Blessed by Israel to promote the Heartland Challenge, encouraging supporters of Israel all around the world to commit to using certain products only from Judea and Samaria. So whether it's olive oil, tea, soap, ceramics, or much, much more, Blessed by Israel is encouraging everyone to buy what you believe in and then share with all your friends and family and your community to do the same. Guys, it's time to build and invest in the heartland of Israel. Join the Heartland Challenge and start making a difference today. To find out more, you can go to Blessed by Israel. That's blessedbyisrael.com, or click the link down in the description below. You can use the code INVEST at checkout for $5 off your first order. Link is in the description below. That's blessedbyisrael.com. You remember when President Barack Obama gave all those pallets of cash? I believe it was in the billions. I don't have the exact number, but I believe it was in the billions of dollars. They literally flew an airplane loaded with pallets of cash to Iran and dropped them off at the airport. Well, that's not exactly what's happening again, but something sort of similar, because the Biden administration has now announced that they're lifting a sanction that will allow $6 billion to be released to Iran. They're also releasing 5 Iranian prisoners in exchange for Tehran releasing 5 American citizens who have been, according to the American administration, unjustly imprisoned. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who signed off on the sanctions waivers, which will allow this $6 billion to go back to Iran, said that the funds would go through Qatar. And by the way, these funds are, I think a lot of them are coming from South Korea, who owes Iran money for oil, right? But under the Trump administration, he froze assets going to Iran because he reinstated economic sanctions against Iran because of their because the United States under Trump decided to pull out of the JCPOA, the Iranian deal, right? Because Iran was not honoring the terms of the agreement, and they were just moving faster and faster towards uranium enrichment and a potential nuclear weapon. But Antony Blinken, who's now signing waivers that will allow $6 billion to go back into Iran, basically lifting economic sanctions, he says the funds are going to go through, don't worry, funds are going to go through Qatar before being dispersed for quote, further humanitarian transactions in accordance with written guidance from the U.S. government. Yeah, right. He also said, quote, it's in the national security interest of the United States to waive the imposition of sanctions. Why is giving Iran $6 billion in the national security interest of the United States? Why is waiving future economic sanctions or current economic sanctions in the security interest of the United States? We have a country that is plotting to kill Jews all over the world. The Mossad foiled the attacks. They're building a terrorist base just miles inside Lebanon, as close as they can get to the Israeli border. And they're enriching uranium as fast as they possibly can to build a nuclear weapon. And it's in the security interest of the United States to waive the imposition of sanctions. Okay? I don't know. Maybe you could tell me what I'm missing here. So Bibi Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, he had some harsh things to say about a prospective deal. He said, quote, arrangements that do not dismantle Iran's nuclear infrastructure do not stop its nuclear program and only provide it with funds that go to terrorist elements sponsored by Iran. I don't believe for a second, and neither should you, that the $6 billion being released going through Qatar so that they can go to humanitarian funds in accordance with U.S. government guidance. I don't believe for a second that those are going to go to humanitarian causes or funds. They're going to go directly into the hands of terrorist projects. So this deal that the U.S. is working on is supposed to be signed by the end of September, even though the exact details are not out yet. But supposedly, the details are going to include something like this. Iran's commitment to not enrich uranium past 60%. Iran will stop attacking American contractors in Iraq and Syria through its proxy terrorist organizations. Wouldn't that be nice? Basically, stop murdering our people through your proxy terrorist organizations. That shouldn't be a part of a deal, should it? Shouldn't that be like, stop murdering our people or we'll blow up your country, like we will attack you kind of thing? And Iran has to stop selling ballistic missiles to Russia, and they'll better cooperate with international nuclear inspectors, which apparently they haven't been doing, and that's why Trump pulled out of the JCPOA. So in return, besides the $6 billion in the release of prisoners, America is also, besides the $6 billion and releasing prisoner for prisoner, America is also supposed to stop confiscating Iran's oil, not increase economic sanctions, and not go after Iran at the United Nations. Isn't that nice of us? Apologies for my sarcasm, by the way. So Israel's security minister, Tzaki Hanegbi, warned that Israel will take Iran out. Well, I'll read you his words. He said, if Israel realizes that they have gone past the 60% enrichment of uranium, he said, quote, if Iran moves to enrich uranium above 60% and we identify it, and there's no possibility that we won't, that the world would not recognize it, the result is that Israel would act out of necessity. There would be no choice. By the way, IAEA inspectors did detect trace particles of uranium enriched to 87% earlier this year. But I guess they decided it was trace particles and not enough to make a bomb, so it wasn't too important. So the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, he had this to say about a prospective U.S.-Iran agreement. Quote, we are aware that there is a bilateral process of sorts. We've been informed by the United States about this, but when it comes to the nuclear part, it's not clear what's being discussed. So talking about the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, the head of the agency, said that he thinks the world is just kind of getting tired of holding the topic of holding Iran accountable. I guess we've been talking about it for so many years. But he did say that the agency and Iran have made no progress on certain very big issues. Issues like maybe putting the cameras back up that Tehran took out, that the IAEA was supposed to have there to monitor Iran. Addressing uranium particles, maybe those ones that they discovered were enriched to 87%. And several sites that the IAEA thinks that have traces of man-made uranium. So basically, they're saying Iran took out our cameras. We're finding uranium that's possibly enriched almost to 90%, which is weapons-grade materials. Do I need to say that again? And multiple sites that they want to inspect and check out to make sure that they're not violating international law, right? So Rafael Grossi told reporters that, quote, there's a certain routinization of what is going on there in Iran. And I'm concerned about this because the issues are as valid today as they were before. So he's saying the world's getting tired of Iran, but we can't get tired of this topic because they potentially are enriching uranium past 60% right now. Although, according to Israel's security minister, they will know about it if that happens. And I can guarantee you, Israel will not sit idly by, even if the United States decides not to act. Okay, so let's recap. Iran is building has already built a terrorist infrastructure base, complete with an airfield, Iranian flags flying 12 miles inside Lebanon's border with Israel. They have been trying to murder Jews all over the world, and the Mossad has stopped 27 attacks that were meant to murder Jews in multiple countries all over the world just in 2023. And they're not cooperating with the IAEA, potentially enriching uranium much past 60%. And we know from the video you saw on in the aftermath of 9/11 that not only is Iran happy about attacking America, but also Palestinians, or Iran has the goal of eliminating America and calling them the big Satan, little Satan. But the Palestinians could not have been happier when American lives were lost. Guys, the point is America and Israel should be in this together, right? We're talking about the anniversary of September 11th. America should be unifying and partnering with Israel to make sure that Hezbollah in Lebanon, Iran, their proxies in Syria and Iraq, inside Judea and Samaria, inside Gaza, do not murder more Jews, murder Americans, get your nuclear weapon, build a terrorist base just as close as they can possibly get to the Israeli border. Iran is still a problem. Israel, according to Iran, is still the small Satan, and Israel and America is the big Satan in the eyes of Palestinians and Iran, who's now operating all over the world, including in the West Bank, and potentially enriching uranium to nearly 90%, which is ballistic missiles, weapons grade, and nuclear weapon. Guys, don't forget to go to blessedbuisrael.com to get started supporting small family-owned businesses in Judea and Samaria today. Link down in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section down below. As always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We're here every Monday through Friday with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.